Assumed to reflect product endorsements or the views of the American Council of the Blind, its elected officials, or its staff.
Good evening, everybody. This is Financial Sense, a monthly public Zoom call hosted by Penny Forward. I am Chris Peterson. I am the founder and CEO of Penny Forward, and I am also an accredited financial counselor. I'm a husband and a father of two children, a white belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, a baseball player, a licensed amateur radio operator, and lots of other things. And I'm really thrilled to be here tonight, particularly because this is our first night back on the ACB community events schedule. The American Council of the Blind back in 2020, when COVID had us all stuck in our houses, started this great thing, ACB community events, where we all can get on here and talk to each other on Zoom about things that are serious or sometimes silly or sometimes a little bit of both. And it is still going strong now in its fourth year. And we took a break from it last year, but thanks to members of our community saying, hey, we'd really love to see this back on the community calls list, we're back on the community calls list. So thank you to ACB for all of that. Particularly thank you to Mo Carpenter for being our Zoom host, Liz Botner for being our Clubhouse moderator, and Jane Sue. Jane, I hope I am pronouncing your name correctly because I've never heard you say it before, who is streaming us on ACB Media 5. We are also streaming to the Penny Forward YouTube channel and Facebook page, and thank you to Bryn Lee, who jumped in to help us do that this evening when she was getting right home after work. So that was really, really great. If you're not yet familiar with Penny Forward is a nonprofit organization founded and led by blind people. And together, we help each other navigate the complicated landscape of personal finance through education, mentoring, and mutual support. We offer self-paced online financial education courses, monthly member meetups, and weekly Wednesday workshops. And we also offer one-to-one financial counseling by accredited financial counselors. I am the first person to be able to say that. We can also offer financial counseling from accredited financial counselor candidates if you are interested in helping somebody gain their experience hours in order to achieve their AFC certification. You can learn more about us at our website, pennyforward.com. You can also send us an email at pennyforward@pennyforward.com. Or you can call us at our toll-free number, which is 888-332-5558. And I'll give that contact information out again at the end. It's a new year, and many of us have new goals for this year. Some of those goals may be actually new, and some of those goals may be goals that we are trying to restart progress on this year. Some of them may involve our finances, and some of them may not. What I am going to talk with you tonight, and what we are going to talk about, may or may not have to do with our personal finances. But the reason that we're talking about this evening is because over at Penny Forward, our theme for the month of January is New Year, New Goals. So we've been talking about this in our Wednesday workshops all month long. But also when you are thinking about improving your financial health, whether that means finding ways to bring in more income, finding ways to make room in your budget for things that you need or want, or finding ways to improve the health of your credit. It's good to know why you're doing those things. It's good to have a reason. It's good to have a goal. And so to start out with figuring out what your goal really is, because this is the important part. Knowing what your goal really is really helpful. Having it narrowed down, having it be crystallized into a vision, something that invades your soul in a way that you just can't shake it. You think about it all the time. These are the kinds of goals that really inspire us to take actions. Something that sighted people do, and it's not the only thing that sighted people do, but it's one of the things that sighted people do to try to build these kind of inspirational goals, is vision boarding. Vision boarding is a concept where you put together it's usually a poster board or maybe a bulletin board or something like that with pictures, quotes, clippings from newspaper articles, clippings from magazine articles, maybe clippings from brochures if your goal or your vision is to travel to specific places or something like that. All of these things are designed to inspire you or to remind you of your goal and to help you keep your eyes on the prize. And a sighted person would then place that vision board in a prominent location in their home where they would be likely to see it one or multiple times a day. For example, if you spend a lot of time in the kitchen, you might put it up in the kitchen so you're looking at it while you're moving around the kitchen. Some people will put it up in their bathroom so that it reflects off of the mirror above the sink and they will see it while they're brushing their teeth in the morning and at night. Some people will put it in their bedroom so they see it when they wake up in the morning right away or when they go to bed at night. All of these are good places to put your vision board. So how do we do this if we can't see our vision boards? Well, just knowing that it's there is good enough for some of us, and some of us do have quite a bit of vision. So a traditional vision board may work very well for us, and that's wonderful. But we spent some time brainstorming some ideas for generating that same kind of inspiration in a case where maybe a vision board in the traditional sense isn't going to work as well. Some ideas that our group came up with were things like creating playlists or asking your smart speaker to give you reminders that contain inspirational or sayings or things that kind of remind you of your goal. One person uses things like stuffed animals and cups that are shaped like the things that she that make up her goal to help her to keep her mind on her goal. All of these things work. All of these things work. In fact, someone uses a cane charm so that they always have their goal near them in the form of a cane charm. Whatever you do, what you're trying to do by doing a vision board or by doing a non-traditional non-vision board, you're really trying to generate that feeling that you just can't shake that goal from your mind, whatever that goal may be. It may be saving money to buy a new Sense player or Victor Stream. It may be saving money to go to the next ACB convention or NFB convention, if that's your thing. It may be becoming a massage therapist. It may be becoming a software developer. It may be growing a multi-million-dollar podcast. All of these things are important. So once you've figured out what your vision is and it's invaded your soul and it becomes kind of your top priority in life, and I can't stress this enough. This is almost like it's like when you're dating someone and you think about them all the time and you want to talk with them all the time and you want to tell your friends about them and stuff. This is the kind of relationship you're trying to establish with your goal. It's a really, really special thing. Once you do that, the next step is going to be to try to make your goals specific and figure out how you're going to achieve them. Now, your goal may be something that's very big and it may seem unachievable. We call those BHAGs, or big, hairy, audacious goals. And sometimes we don't know how we're going to achieve them just because they're so big. There may be pieces that we know we need to do, but we don't know how we need to do them. There may be money involved that we need to find a way to get in order to make that goal happen. Separating that goal into mini goals, and when I say many, I mean many as in a lot, and I also mean mini as in small. By separating your BHAG into many mini goals, you can make progress towards it, even if it's huge. Many of you know that my BHAG was establishing Penny Forward, and this year my BHAG is to raise $150,000 to support Penny Forward so that we can bring on some additional staff to do some things that we're not able to do quite yet. And we're getting there. But we didn't know how we were going to get started when I had the vision. It really took the vision to inspire me and then later us to get started. So, what is important about these many mini goals that we have that we want to create to achieve our BHAG? Well, they should be SMART goals. That's not smart in the sense of not being dumb. And by the way, there will be people that will tell you your BHAG is dumb, and I would encourage you to not listen to them so much because they may be very well-meaning, but they're not that's not helpful. SMART goals. SMART is an acronym. It stands for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant or realistic, and time-bound or timely. So let's talk through those real quick. Specific. One of the first goals that I had for Penny Forward was just figuring out what I was going to do. I started a website. My specific goal was to start a website and put some financial education content on it. So I sat down one night and I spun up a WordPress website and I did some writing, and within, I can't remember, maybe 2 or 3 days, I had something that was pretty quick and pretty dirty and pretty rough, but it worked. And it had my first financial education article on it. It was specific, need a website, need some financial education content on it. It was measurable. Do we have a website or don't we? Does that website have something on it or doesn't it? It was achievable because I didn't try to be perfect about it. I just tried to get it out there and get it up there. It was relevant because my vision was to start an organization that would provide financial education to the blind community. And it was time bound because I wanted to get it done as soon as possible. And by wanting to get it done as soon as possible, I put everything I had into getting it done as soon as possible. Time bound can also mean doing some things on a regular basis, like forming a habit. Like I want to put away $5 a day into my savings or investment account, or I want to exercise for 15 minutes 3 times a week. Measurable can be anything such as, did I do something? Yes or no? Did I make progress towards something and how much? Um, Achievable really is up to you. Achievable is what you believe you can do. Those BHAGs, the big, hairy, audacious goals, they start out seeming like they're not achievable. But it's those many, many SMART goals, each one of them being achievable, that brings you closer to believing that your BHAG is achievable until suddenly you just find yourself there. Relevant. Relevant means that your SMART goal should be relevant to your BHAG. Putting up a website about old radio shows, well, it's an interesting goal, would not be related to my BHAG of starting Penny Forward, because my BHAG was to start a nonprofit organization that provided financial education, not provided old radio shows, even though I love both. So that's relevant. Realistic is a little bit like achievable. Can you do it within the constraints of how much time you have in the day, with what your family will support? Will they give you the time? Will they give you the support? I tend to like relevant a little bit more than realistic, because thinking about things in terms of realistic, in terms of realism or reality is sometimes self-limiting. A lot of people will say, well, realistically, I can't do that. I don't have time. I don't have the money. I don't have this, or I don't have that. We'll talk about that in a little bit. So to reiterate, and then we're going to open up the floor for comments and questions for about 10 minutes. First step, really honing in on your vision. Second step, turning that vision into many, many SMART goals: specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. And then working on them one by one by one until you get there. All right, so now we're going to open up the floor for any questions or comments, and we'll do this for about 10 minutes. And then I'll be talking again for a few minutes after that. Any raised hands starting out on the Zoom side?
We do. We have a phone number ending in 406.
iPhone number ending in 406.
Hi, this is Lisa G. That's me. Thank you, Chris, for putting this together. Thank you for starting this. I've gotten some great valuable information from you, and I really appreciate it. I'd like to know about, I'm going to be 65 this year. I own a house. I am concerned because I'm getting older. Imagine that. And if about seeing a senior attorney, or how to put my money into a trust, because I don't know anything about it. My mother is like the opposite of, I've been trying to get her to do something with her money, so that, because I understand it could just, she'll be going, if she goes to a nursing home, it's going to be gone, and they take it all. So I'm wondering how to protect my assets. If you can give me any guidance on that, I'd appreciate it.
Okay, so that's a really good specific goal, to protect your assets. And you said you had a house.
Yeah, two family.
Okay, and you have money in some sort of investment accounts or savings accounts?
A TSA, not getting a lot of interest, but it's in my TSA. That's another question for another day. What to do
Okay.
with that? But yes, I do.
Okay. What other assets do you want to protect?
Just the money in the TSA and some money I had made selling my condo, and the house. The house is worth a lot, and it's two family. I get an income from it, so it pays for itself, basically. Almost, just about.
Okay.
Which is huge.
Okay. And are you wanting to keep your home and stay in it, or are you maybe thinking of downsizing at some point?
I'm not sure. It's kind of a tricky slope. I mean, I'm not sure. I think I have to be in here for 2 years because I was renting out one part, so I have to be here for 2 years because if I sell it, I'd pay a boatload of taxes.
Okay.
And I've had this house for over 20 years. 24 years. How do you like that? And I all on my own, and I'm proud of that. I did it all by myself, so not easy.
Yeah.
I'm not 100% sure because I don't know. I mean, I was in Florida, I wanted to be there, and then it's like, that's not going to work for me. So I came back up here just because I don't know what to do. I'm not sure what my future is going to hold. I can't guarantee. Ideally, I would like my family to keep the house, to have an income, and God forbid one of my grandkids needs a house or housing or something, they'd have a place to go. Ideally.
Uh-huh. Okay. So as it sounds like you already know, one of the ways that you can shelter your assets is by putting them in a trust. That is a pretty involved and fairly expensive process. That's best
That's what
done.
I'm finding.
Yeah, it's best done by an attorney. And I'm not an attorney, so there's a limited amount I can speak about this. You can put everything up to and including your house into the trust. And if you want to stay in your home for a longer period of time and maybe feel like you might end up wanting to have, say, long-term care done out of your home or something, it may be wise to look at that. What I think we have time for on this call, as far as answering your questions, is I would really sit down and, well, it's hard to predict the future. I would sit down and try to think hard about what you want the future, what you believe the future might look like. Look at what has happened to your family members, and then while it seems big and scary to spend so much money on an attorney, sit down with an attorney and talk over, this is really what I am worried about. This is my goal, is to protect my assets so that I can give them to my kids and my grandkids and so forth. And what is the best way to do that without spending all my money on protecting my assets? Because that clearly you don't want to do that, right?
Sure.
And you don't have to, and you shouldn't go with the first attorney that you talk with. You may find that you like them just fine and they're explaining the process really well to you, et cetera, et cetera. But this is an area where you want to do a little bit of shopping around and you do get what you pay for. So I wouldn't advise you to go with necessarily the cheapest one. I would advise you to go with the attorney that is doing the best job of making sure that you are involved in the process and understand exactly what is going on as possible.
Good advice. I have spoken to some attorneys, and one of them worked on my mother's issues. And I was just like, I know more than them almost. It's like I'm telling them. I'm like, what about this? What about? Oh yeah, like it's amazing. It's like, how could they not know certain things?
Yeah.
What I'm finding in some attorneys. I'm not saying everyone's like that.
Well, right, and you've done more research than they have on your particular situation. So, sometimes with working with a professional like that, it actually is good to lay out your goals, and then you know, they almost shouldn't give you advice right away. They should maybe go away for a week or two, do some research, and then come back and give you some advice.
Thank you for the advice.
So I hope that was helpful. That's about what we've got time
Yes, thank
for
you.
today, but I appreciate you, and I very much appreciate you being here. Who else do we have? Anyone, Mo, on the Zoom side?
Our hands are cleared on Zoom.
Okay. How about on the Clubhouse side?
We are clear at the moment.
All right, that's good.
And we did have Hazel raise her hand in the Zoom side.
Yeah, Hazel. Hi, how are you?
Audio now unmuted.
Oh, fine, thank you. I hope you can hear me
And no
all
more.
right. I got kicked out of
Join
this. I
client.
have to get back on. Can you hear me all right?
Yeah, I can hear you fine.
Okay. Well, I've got a BHAG.
Okay.
I was not able to buy a house until I was already older. And if it hadn't been for the crash in 2008, I would not have been able to do it even then. And all my life, I wanted my own house.
Mm-hmm.
I finally got one, but I was not able to get what I really wanted. But I thought, well, if I get into a house and then I manage to build up some equity, I can trade up.
Uh-huh.
But I can't because it's gone beyond me. I'm living on retirement income right now. And I'm hoping that I can learn enough in some area to maybe do some online work and get some more income coming in. But I need a house on one level now.
Mm-hmm.
And and I want to stay in the town I'm in. So they're kind of beyond my reach with my income and the amount of equity that I've managed to build up so far. So my goal, I guess, is to try to get some more money in to be able to because right now if I sell this house and buy another, the only thing that I can get approved for is another one similar. Well, I'm not moving for that.
Uh-huh.
So, I really don't even know where to put a starting point other than more income.
So let's get a little bit more specific. You definitely said you needed a house that was on one level.
I have a full basement here, but I can't go down there. Washer and dryers down there, more storage spaces down there. I don't have as much space as I need up here. I really can't do the stairs that well. I mean, I can do them, but it takes me about 5 minutes to get up or down.
Yeah, and it's not comfortable.
And I can't carry anything while I'm going either way.
Mm-hmm.
I don't do it if there's nobody here.
Video has left the meeting.
What if I fell? There would be nobody to get 911, so I just,
So one level, are you needing a bigger house or a smaller house or about the same size as you have?
about the same size, except the rooms are kind of, it's an older house and it's cut, and I have friends that are in wheelchairs, they can't come. They can't get in.
Uh-huh.
I have a lot of space down in the basement. If I just had it up here,
Right.
it would be good. I don't see any solutions to this problem that I'm in other than more money.
There may not be.
I just kind of don't know how to get to the more money so I guess my goal right now is to try to find a job, even though I'm older.
How did you what was the process like for you to get the house that you're living in now? Did you were you working at one time?
I was part-time, but my income at the time was still mostly my retirement income.
Okay.
I managed to get in before they raised the interest rates. I got a 30-year fixed at 3.5. You can't beat that now. You just can't.
No, not now.
And
Okay.
I don't see that happening in the future either, not in my lifetime anyway.
You know, it's hard to say, but yeah, I would agree that probably 3.5 is asking for a lot. Um, I you know, I could see it going down into the fives again. Um, in the next year or two. It really just it really depends.
Can I step in for a second?
And because the house is older, it's not something that can be fixed up very easily. I need some remodeling done just to make it more accessible for me here on this one level, but I don't
Uh-huh.
have the funds for that either. My kitchen, I can't, there's a lot of things I can no longer do. I used to bend more, and now I'm having trouble with my back. My legs were never very good because of arthritis when I was a little kid. So I used to always bend, and I used to be able to bend and get my hands flat on the floor, which I can no longer do. I
Right.
can barely load and unload the dishwasher now. So, and the bathroom is not set up properly for me.
hmm
So I don't know what to do.
So accessibility is really an issue
Oh,
at
yeah.
this point. Yeah. Mo, did you have something?
I was just curious if selling the home and a rental would be a better option. Um, we're currently reading a book called You Need a Budget, and one of the steps in that was to challenge all assumptions. And so I'm thinking of challenging the assumption that you have to have a house if something you rent could be accessible and get you what you need and just not worry about
I don't want to go
ownership.
back. I just really don't want to go back to apartment living. I really do not want that.
Okay.
Finally got away from it, and I don't want to go back.
Chris.
Um, please hold on, Janine.
Okay.
Um, so tell me a little bit about what you did for work when you were working.
Well, I've had a few different, couple different jobs, and then I went to law school.
Oh,
So
okay.
I am an attorney, but I'm no longer doing that, and I never did make very much at it either. Um,
Do you have computer skills?
I have some, I'm thinking of trying to get into that area because many years ago, back when computers had vacuum tubes, I had some training in computer programming. Quite a bit of training actually in computer programming. I don't know that that's uh, I think the principles remain pretty much the same, some of the concepts, so I don't think it's something that would be that difficult for me to get into again. I'm hoping anyway.
Okay.
I want to try to take, I've been doing some of the free courses,
Okay.
offered by different organizations
Okay.
online, but I'm struggling with the new technology.
Yeah.
When I did this way back when, they actually had key punch machines.
Right.
You would punch out these cards with this 8-bit Hollerith code, and they would go through a compiler and oh God. They don't do anything like that now.
No, they don't. Um, so I think one of the very specific goals that I think you may want to have is to narrow down a little bit what you want to and what you might be able to realistically do for work. Your legal expertise may open some doors for you where, there may be people that need things like online legal research done that you could do from home. Um, you're right that computer programming is similar to what it used to be, but if your experience is, and I was a computer programmer, so I speak from some experience here.
Ah,
Um, if your experience was back in the key punch days, you do have quite a bit of catching up to do. Having said that, you know, there's always hope, no matter how old you are, that you can learn. So
Brandon Patterson.
I would also try to get more specific about how much money you need to earn, or how much money you need to save in order to make up the difference. You know, if you're close, maybe just a little bit of part-time work might be enough. If you are not close, then going to work full-time may be necessary, and then you'll have to decide whether your mind and your body are capable of doing that at this point. And then, of course, there are other ways to find money too. If there are things that you have that you no longer want, that you know, are of value, that's a way to pull together some cash too. So those are my initial thoughts. And about what we have time for now, I did see that Janine had her hand raised, and I want to be able to move on to her.
Okay,
So
thank you.
thank you very much. Go ahead, Janine.
Thanks, Chris. I just wanted to ask Hazel or give Hazel, maybe since you have the basement that has all that space, maybe you rent out the basement, and the caveat for the person you rented to, they have to do some household chores like carry your things in for you, pull weeds, clean. You might give them a discount on renting if they help you. So kind of they help you X number of hours or X number of chores, and then you charge a certain amount for your basement. Then you would have help and money.
I thought of that, but the basement is unfinished and there is no outside entrance, which it would have to have. And it would,
Okay.
you know, there are just codes that
Okay.
it does not meet those codes.
It was just a thought that was an easy. Okay, cool. Or
Yeah.
one of your other rooms, but okay, thank you. That's it.
Yeah, thanks, Janine, and thanks, Hazel. It's a good thought still. Some people rent out their garage for storage, even basements for storage. If you got lots of space that you know, just people want to put their stuff down there, that can be a way to make some extra money too. So definitely worth thinking about. I want to check on the clubhouse side this time and see if there's any hands over there, and then we'll flip back to Zoom, and then I got a little bit more to talk about.
We have no hands currently in Clubhouse.
Okay, on Zoom?
We are clear in Zoom, and it is 7 after the top of the hour.
Thank you. All right, so the goal setting part of this is really important, but another thing that is important, and Hazel's question was a really nice segue into this, is understanding how much the goal is going to cost. And I'm not talking about necessarily the BHAG here. I'm talking about each of the many, many SMART goals. When I started Penny Forward, as I said, I started a website. And that website was going to cost me, if I remember correctly, about $145 for the year. And that was a realistic amount of money for me to spend. It was a way I could achieve that goal by spending that $145. I could have it now, and my SMART goal was to do the website as soon as possible. So I spent the $145 right up front at the beginning of the year, and had the website paid for the whole year. That gave me the freedom to worry about putting stuff on the website and paying for other expenses, because there were lots of other expenses that came up as they came up, without having to worry about, well, how am I going to do that because I've got this website bill I also have to pay. So by really making your SMART goals small and having a lot of them, you can start to build a budget for your BHAG. Some of the budget items on your BHAG, you're not going to know what they cost yet. Or you are going to know what they cost, but it's going to be way too much. So you'll need to figure some of those things out. And this is something where, you know, there's many, many different ways of budgeting that people like. I really like Microsoft Excel. I could probably spend hours and hours and hours telling you how great Excel is and how useful it is for crunching numbers like this. But you don't have to use anything complicated. You could just write this down on paper because you don't even need to know what the total is right now. All you need to know, or all you need to do, is to come up with as many of those mini goals as you can and figure out what the costs are associated with them and write those down. And then come up with a plan to find the money for those things. If you're a listener to the Penny Forward podcast, you might have heard an episode that we've replayed several times interviewing Gina Marie Appleby from Charleston, South Carolina. She is a blind person who over, I want to say it started around 7 years ago now, but she built her own tiny home. And her process for doing it illustrates this really well. Because the first thing she did was she went and got like a trailer chassis to put the tiny home on. All it was like this metal frame that had to be built on top of. She found enough money for that. And she got that. And then she found enough money and the people that would be willing to help her to frame in the tiny home and put walls on the outside of it. She got that far. And then she found a place to actually put the tiny home, and she started to talk with the city about, hey, I want to put this tiny home there. And they said, oh, well, you should just sell it, and you should just sell it to someone who wants to use it as a shed or something because we can't even zone for this. And she said, no, I'm going to be a trailblazer. I'm going to make this work. So she worked with the city until she figured out what she needed to do, and she found out that there were a bunch of different modifications that she was going to have made in order to comply with code, in order to be able to live in her tiny home, and so she got that done. And again, she asked for help. She raised money. She did what she could with what she had. Eventually, she got to the point where the tiny home was finished enough that she moved into it. It wasn't comfy. It was really uncomfy, actually. She was taking showers at the college campus where she was going to school because she didn't have water. She didn't have heat. She was cooking her meals on campus, but she was in there and she was persistent. And every time she got something finished, she set a new goal. And it took a number of years. I think she lived in it for around 2 years before it was completely finished. But she made it. She now has this beautiful tiny home on a foundation, on a lot that she rents, but she owns the home and she is planning to buy the lot. And she was able to get the city to hook up water and sewer and all that stuff. And she's now got a guide dog that lives there with her. She is doing little landscaping projects. She put in a fire pit, all because she broke her BHAG into lots of mini goals. And she's not a rich person. She is a PhD student at a university and is only able to do some part-time work now and then. So on around her classes. So she came up with the money by turning her, and I apologize for the dog barking in the background if you can hear it. She turned her BHAG into lots and lots of little tiny goals. She came up with a budget for each one of those goals. She figured out how she was going to pay for that. Then she moved on to the next goal. But what drove her through that was her vision. If she didn't have that vision, she might have given up a long time before she actually achieved her BHAG. And that brings me to the last thing that I want to talk about, which is this. When you encounter something that seems unachievable, I hear a lot of people say, well, I can't do this because I don't have this. I don't have the money. I can't call someone because I don't have their phone number, or I can't email someone because I don't have their email address. So the last thing you really need to do to make yourself, to turn yourself into a success is to flip that line of thinking and say, I need to find this. I need to find, as Hazel was talking about, I need to find more money so that I can afford to move into a more accessible home. By flipping that around and saying, well, this is not possible because I don't have this, into I need to find this, you've set yourself a goal. I'll give you an example again from our life here in Penny Forward. We had the joy of interviewing for the Penny Forward podcast Bruce Horak, who was the first blind person to play a role on a Star Trek series. And that's funny because I just happened to read that in an article about him when Star Trek Strange New Worlds was about to come out. And I was really excited that there was a blind person playing a blind character, but I had no idea he was the first blind person to play a role on a Star Trek series. And it turned out that he didn't either, but we're not there yet in the story. When I read that, I thought, I need to find a way to get in touch with him because I want to know what that was like. I want to know how he did that. So I found him on Facebook and I found his website, and I sent him a message through Facebook Messenger, and I also sent filled out the contact form on his website, and I told him who I was, why I was getting in touch with him. I told him that I was very interested in him because he was the first blind person to play a role on a Star Trek series, and would he come on my teeny tiny little podcast, our teeny tiny little podcast. And it took a couple of, I want to say it took maybe a day or two. And I really didn't want to have my hopes up. I just wanted to, I figured I would put a shot in the dark and see what happens. And yet I kind of had faith, I had faith that he might get back in touch with me. And sure enough, he got back in touch with me. And I now have his email address. And he came on our podcast and did a wonderful interview, which you can still listen to. It's really cool. And his advice really was, you got to go do the work. It's not necessarily about finding a job that's going to pay you so much every 2 weeks or every month. It's about finding that thing that's going to bring in, a little bit of money here and there. And then finding the next thing that's going to bring in a little bit of money, because that's what the life of an artist is like. It's finding that next acting gig or that next music gig or the next painting gig. And he said, you just got to keep doing the work, and you got to be a nice person and convince people that they should have you back by being a good person, by being a good person to work with, by being good at whatever the work you're doing is, and by building tight relationships with those people that you're working with. So not only when you are trying to find a job or trying to find more money, think about that. Think about, if I need to find $150, $150,000. This is what I'm doing this year, by the way. I'm trying to find $150,000 for Penny Forward. If I need to find $150,000, I'm not starting by saying I need to make $150,000 this year. I'm breaking that down into smaller chunks. I need to find $1,000 here, and I need to find $1,000 there and $500 here until I get to 150,000. And every once in a while, as I do that, I know that there's going to be really giant steps forward, and there may even be some steps backward along the way. But by setting those little goals, for example, I have a goal to raise $2,500 by the end of the month. And I have found about $1,000 of that through various different ways. So can I do it? Well, I'm halfway there. We're over halfway through the month, but I'm halfway there. And if I don't do it, I still will have gotten closer to my BHAG than I was before. Maybe I want to set a different goal for February. We'll just have to see. That's really all there is to it. That's the very short version of what we've been doing at Penny Forward this month. We have been doing in our Wednesday workshops discussions on these things in detail. We've gotten through the vision boarding and the SMART goals, and we're going to be talking more on Wednesday about the budgeting piece of this, and then we're going to be talking on the following Wednesday, the 31st, about the finding what you don't have piece of this. These are all interactive discussions where we invite you to help to share your ideas with the other people on the workshop. If this was helpful to you, I appreciate your feedback. Please send an email to pennyforward@pennyforward.com. Let us know what you liked, what we could be doing better. You're also welcome to call us at 888-332-5558. Again, that number is 888-332-5558. And you can find all of that and more at the Penny Forward website, which is pennyforward.com. As I said before, Penny Forward is a nonprofit organization founded and led by blind people. Together, we help each other navigate the complicated landscape of personal finance through education, mentoring, and mutual support. Our online classes are fully accessible. They are text-based, so they work equally well with a screen reader or a braille display or a screen magnifier. We currently have 5 of them, and we're working on more. The 5 we have now are called Budgeting and Banking Basics, Digging Out of Debt, Concerned About Credit, Taking on Taxes, and Simplifying Social Security. And our next course, Employment Essentials, is in review right now, and we hope to have that out sometime probably in March. So please stay tuned for that. Again, we also offer our weekly Wednesday workshops. I talked a little bit about what we've been doing in those. And we offer a weekly newsletter that helps you keep track of it all. You're also welcome to join our groups.io email list by sending an email to discuss+subscribe@pennyforward.groups.io. That's discuss+subscribe@pennyforward.groups.io. You can find a link to that on the website as well. We do work some off of donations. So at pennyforward.com, you can find a link to donate to us. If there are things that you would like our help with, we offer 2 types of memberships. Our guest membership is kind of a try before you buy, gives you limited access to our online courses. You'll start receiving our weekly newsletter. You can poke around the website and just see whether it is going to be what you want or not. Our paid memberships come in 2 forms. You can either pay $9.99 a month or $99 a year. And to get access, and that gives you access to all of our online courses, our weekly Wednesday workshops, and 2 free sessions of one-on-one financial counseling, where we can work through your complicated issues one-on-one. And I'm really excited to announce this for the first time tonight. If you sign up for a Penny Forward subscription, you will now be able to access the You Need a Budget app, or YNAB, for iOS or Android or through their website for free. We've partnered with YNAB and through their YNAB for Good program. And they have given us 150 free subscriptions to YNAB that we are able to hand out to our members. We're still working out the logistics of exactly how we do that, but I'm really proud and I'm really excited to be able to announce that on this call. And Liz and Mo, is there anything in the world of Penny Forward that I should have mentioned that you think I might have
Yes.
missed? Okay.
We have an app.
Thank you. Yes, we do have a mobile app.
You're welcome. Come on.
Couple more
Yeah.
things. We release a public podcast every other week, and we now have a Tuesday Turning Pages book brunch where we are discussing a financial book every Tuesday morning, and it's the same book for 2 months, so you have time to catch up.
There you go.
Just going back to the app, you can download it from your platform of choice, be that iOS or Android, and it is fully accessible. And you can sign up as a guest member in the app, but if you would like to sign up as a paid member, that must be done at this time through the website.
Yep, we're working on fixing that. And that app is available for iOS and Android. Just search for Penny Forward, and there's also a link to it on the pennyforward.com website. Thank you. 2 words, Penny Forward.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
And we're
That's also
just
two
about out
words.
of time.
It is.
We are just about out of time. That's more than two words.
Words.
That's a lot of words. I lose count.
It's okay.
So,
I apparently don't somehow. Anyway.
yeah. Wow. So Liz is your word counter if you ever need someone like that. But hey, thank you all for being here tonight. Really appreciate it. It's good to be back on the ACB community events schedule. We'll be back again next month where our theme will be Love Your Budget. So stay tuned. It'll be on the third Thursday of February. And you would think that I would be prepared and I would have looked that up on the calendar before I got here, but I didn't.